see them struggling is when these game plans don't work out and it becomes a bit chaotic. Then their old style comes back and they do a lot of mistakes and get out of position so many times that enemy team can just punish them. So if I can see ourselves winning is at this position where we can just surprise them with something, get them off guard and make it a bit more chaotic, so their game plans won't work out as good as they intend to.
Well, it doesn't happen often, but Chachi thinks he can get H2k out of position and surprise them. H2k are setting up to do battle with the Unicorns of Love. So let's get straight to the lineups. Wearing their home colors on the blue side of the map, it will be H2k. They actually beat the Unicorns of Love all the way back in week 3. Odo there, Lulex, Ryu, Hyun, and Kasing. Prolly, the imported coach. And I want to jump straight to Hyun. H2k, one of the few teams that are still playing around an AD carry as a primary carry.
Yeah, he's really the main carry for H2k. Highest damage percent for the team. Yesterday, the build his comp was just basically protecting him on the Jinx, and he got 15 kills. He died twice. I mean, pretty great game overall for him.
Yeah, always performing on that.
I guess that was over 3 games, but he got a lot of kills anyway.
Yes, he did indeed. Ended up being a victory. H2k looked good, but they didn't look as great as they were in their previous winning streaks.
True.
Their opponents, UOL, looked better yesterday than they have in many weeks. They took down Origin. It is, of course, Chachi, the man we just heard from, Kikis, Power of Evil, Vardags, Hylissang, and Sheepy. And I think one of the things that stands out for me about yesterday's upset win over Origin is how good they played against Poke and how impressive Hylissang was on Braum.
So we have to remember it was one Poke champion. Jace was early picked by Origin, so we saw Hylissang pick this Braum, and this is the reason he could block every single, close to every single shock blast. He built cooldown reduction early on, and overall he just had a fantastic game. He said after as well, this was picked purely into this Jace because I can basically nullify his Poke. If you're against multiple Poke champs, let's say Varus, Corki, Braum might not have the same effect, but this was a great counter pick.
And it's also a comfort pick. Hylissang has run Braum multiple times. He ran it in the spring split when teams were targeting UOL's champion pool and targeting him particularly, especially with the Morgana bans. He turned to Braum a couple of times. I think I remember seeing it in the spring finals as well.
And I think overall this meta here, in terms of Poke, that should really fit Unicorns of Love. It's what they used in the spring split to get to the final.
Yesterday was the first time that Power of Evil went back to Varus.
It was.
We were saying in the analyst desk, I was yelling, do it, do it, do it. He did it, and they won in pretty convincing fashion.
This meta should fit them so well. Because, if they pick champions like Corki as well, that should give them a better mid-game. It's where they struggle now. Early to mid-game is where Unicorns are super weak. Pick champions that excel in that mid-game. That should really give you such a big boost. And we know late game they can play really well, where H2k has been the opposite. They've been fantastic in the early to mid game. Highest goal leads, you know, at 10 and 20 minutes. Been almost rolling over people in lane swaps. But then whenever we go late game, it's where other teams have been able to at least go even with them. So let's see what Unicorns decide to run. I will expect some Poke from them.
Let's take a look at the picks and bans. Morgana against Hylissang, no surprise. Kog'Maw against Power of Evil, less of a surprise. Lulu and Kalista as well taken off the table. Ryu's run Lulu a couple times before, plays it like an assassin. The last time these teams met, the game was heavily in favor of H2k. Based on the last 2 weeks of games, you have to feel things are a lot closer. To run up bans, Sivir and Ryze.
Yeah.
We'll see if it's going to be that Corki.
Well, when we have seen these double AD carry bans, and also Vardax play Corki yesterday, and H2k like to run Corki as well for their mid-game spike. If they don't take it, we'd normally see them then go for the likes of Jinx on Yanin and say, okay, if you want to run these poke comps, we're going to build a comp that protects our AD carry. So once we get in these 5-on-5 team fights, there's nothing you can do to win because you can never kill him. He's just getting so many shields. He has so much mobility because we have a lot of speed-ups coming in. But H2k has been in a situation before against SK Gaming, exactly the same bans, at least the 2 AD carries, that is. And Corki was the first pick for them. Otherwise, all the junglers are available at the moment. Obviously with Ryze being banned away. Jace could also be a potential first pick. Instead though, focus on Hylissang. Interestingly, the 2 games that Corki has been played by Hyanan have both been losses. Every other champion that Hyanan has played has been victorious. It's a Thresh first pick for Kasing. We've seen how good he can be on that champion. Corki and Rek'Sai. Here's the thing though. Alistar is still open for Hylissang. He has shown he doesn't need Morgana and Thresh to be a carry. His roams together with Kikis on Alistar has been great. He showed Braum into, of course, the Jace yesterday. And even Janna can be a strong pick in these poke comps here. I don't agree with first picking a Thresh for H2k, unless it's because they also want to see the first 2 picks come in for Unicorns and then decide, do we want to run this protect their AD carry comp again? And then we just need enough engage to force fights on the poke.
And it's difficult. If H2k are even considering the Jace, they need way more poke to get through Braum. Hylissang did it yesterday. Who's to say he can't do it again?
Of course. If you blind pick it now, you can lock it in for sure. Even though it's not an easy lane for him against the Thresh. Alistar into Braum is a lot harder to play because Braum is very good against melee champions. That's going to be, of course, a little bit tricky for him, but we can see H2k saving the mid lane pick for now. Going back to what we've seen time and time again, Rumble top lane for Odoamne, fantastic strong mid game. Lulix is going to get his Gragas as well.
And the makings of a similar flavor team composition to what Fnatic ran earlier. Odoamne's most played champion this split has been the Rumble. That will now be his 6th game. He's got 4 wins and 1 loss.
And the smart thing as well, by taking Rumble, you already banned the Ryze. And the 2 standard AP picks we see in top lane very often is like Ryze and Rumble. And that's needed if you want to run Jace or if you want to run Varus in the mid lane. You don't want to risk stacking too much physical damage, even though Corki adds quite a lot of magic damage himself. Maybe Annie could make up for that as well if Unicorns want to run a tank in the top lane. We haven't seen Echo top being played from Chachi yet, so that's why I'm not considering that one as an option. And I think also we see Unicorns step away a little bit and say, okay, what else can we run? We still have the mid game of the Corki, but it's going to be a lot more team fight focused for them. And then we get this Rumble-Gnar matchup, which is going to be in favor of Visichachi once he gets that Hexdrinker. And he's becoming a bit of a split push threat. Always the problem for Rumble. Fantastic team fight. Can't really stand toe-to-toe later on in the game against a lot of top lanes in the one-on-one. So he's forced into these fights over and over. Could add a threat for Unicorns in terms of split pushing them.
And knowing the way H2k play, they don't want it to get later on. With a Thresh, a Gragas, a Rumble, H2k will be looking to accelerate in the mid-game and prevent Unicorns of Love getting their Orianna and Gnar charged up. So Ryu has to decide what he wants to run in the middle lane. We've seen Ryu play a whole bunch of champions. Fizz, Ori, Lulu, TF, Kassadin, LeBlanc, I mean, you name it, and Ryu's played it. And I wonder if he's going to say, we dare you to play Braum. There's a big target on Unicorn's back.
And that's the thing. If you want to run the Braum, you have to respect the fact that, as I talked about earlier, it's not a safe or easy lane into a Thresh. So Unicorns could go for some hard engage if they want to get to Yan and get to Kaseng. There's not the same, get to Jace. There's not the same kind of appeal for H2k as we saw yesterday in the Protector, the AD carry composition. So Annie could be a lock-in for them in terms of just diving onto H2k every single time they have the chance. Otherwise, Alistar is always a great pick in these team fighting comps. Not the strongest laning phase for Unicorns then, but fantastic roaming and fantastic teamfight potential.
Unicorns going back to a style that they did not do very well with at the beginning of the split. Some scaling issues.
You might be doing it.
Weaker lanes looking to hold even and then accelerate ahead. H2k also have a great range assassination potential.
I feel like this was a bait from H2k.
If Jace can get the poke with an equalizer, Mega Death Rocket will assassinate someone from UOL.
I feel like Unicorns had to get some sort of engage from their support. Braum engage is so hard to pull off properly. He's way better as a disengage tool unless he can literally jump in on the Rek'Sai and then lock down a target and maybe Q flash onto Yan and onto Ryu on this chase. But H2k have a very, very strong backline and very limited options for Unicorns to get there. We talked about this in the Elements game just before, how Rek'Sai and Gnar, they prefer more to be the second engage coming in. They don't really want to be the main engage because then you got to time this Mega Gnar teleport coming in, or the Rek'Sai has to flash forward and knock up targets, and then all the CC is going to have to follow that. Requires very high coordination, can be tricky to pull off, and things like flashes really stops it being very effective in that case. So by taking this Jace, H2k must have, of course, expected Braum as a potential counter pick for it, but it really limits the way Unicorns Love can play because they have the Corki as the poke. Orianna's a little bit too low range. So Jinx Jace might stay very safe in the backline. That could be super hard for Unicorns to deal with in these team fights.
And on top of all the laning problems and the scaling that you've touched on, H2k are one of, if not, the best lane swap team. With the exception of Fnatic shutting down Odoamne's Rumble last week, H2k traditionally have massive gold advantages at 10 and 20 minutes if they want to go that route, if they want to. Because with the exception of Nine and Rumble, they're pretty good in the mid and duo.
Yeah.
I really want to see how H2k plays around this Braum and how they handle the early game decisions, because it feels like all of the cards are for H2k to play.
Definitely have to see Unicorns of Love show some fantastic team fights to pull this one off. He always going to rely on how Hillis and Kikis and Visichachi together can combine their powers and get a proper engage in. Because H2k has a lot of members here who wants to kite backwards and just single out targets with a very, very, very high amount of damage for them. So Gragas as well fits in so well in these comps where you just want to single out like one target because of the fact he can like blow one target back into the open hands of Ryu and Yanin and just blow them up. So I really want to see how Unicorns is going to play the team fights. For now, if they do get standard lanes, it's going to be tricky for Vardex and Hillsang. That's why they're swapping to the top lane as well. Simply saying we don't want to risk this one. And let's see if Hillsang can roam. Braum's a fantastic roamer in the early game.
A lot of pressure on Hillsang's shoulders once again. H2k saw the strategy yesterday, but take a look at those stats the last time these two teams met. H2k wiped the floor with UOL. As they did most teams at the beginning of the split.
True.
Up until Fnatic took them down a few pegs. So lane swap, it has been initiated by UOL, too late to transfer. Krugs being done by both duos. And as we said, in terms of lane swaps, H2k usually do very, very well. They get more first towers than any other team in the league. They usually get more first bloods as well. They're tied with Fnatic, so a lot of pressure on UOL to avoid that.
And UOL haven't shown yet in the lanes, so I'm just going to find them now. So small change for H2k in the way they do it. Normally Yanin and Lulix will always double jungle, and then they will walk down to the lane, where we have, of course, two guys. Ryu got an early level 2. There's a lot of damage on Power of Evil already.
That hurt. Captain Obvious. As we did see Power of Evil, he started with the Flash Cleanse. And we're looking to get out of any CC that Yanin with the Chompers or Kasing with the Death Sentence can put down. Early advantage for Ryu in this middle lane. Until Braum can defend Power of Evil, he's going to be at risk of those all-ins from the Hammer Time.
Yeah, he's just going to again try and turn it into a farm lane, as we so often see with Orianna. Once she gets an Athene, she can start pushing fairly effectively. Obviously, Ryu, he wants to use his poke on the Orianna and not necessarily the minion wave, so in that sense, pushing it back out can be a little bit annoying. But for now, it is fine, and Hillsang is still fighting with this Rift Scuttler on his own. It takes a bit of time for Braum to take it down, but now the 4v0 for H2k.
Oh, he was just setting it up for Kikis.
Honestly, Hillsang, you should have taken it. I mean, you deserved that one. That was yours.
Right, lane swap, Deficio. H2k have pushed beyond the first tower, trying to deny the minion wave. We see Chachi moving up top. Look in the middle. Kikis is set up potentially to go on Ryu.
And what we very often see now for H2k is they keep Odo Amne in the lane where they kill the tower. So once tower goes down, he stays and gets the lane for himself, and then they swap Yanin around, simply to make sure that Odo Amne can always be relevant in the mid game. Lunix is going to find Kikis. Ryu's there too.
Oh, the body slam barrel down means that Kikis needs to flash away to stay alive. But tower should be secured, it looks like. Odo Amne gets the last hit and the local gold. It will be evened out by UOL up top.
And this is what you do if you want to make sure your top laner stays relevant. You're not sacrificing him, you're not telling him, okay, you can leave the lane now, you have to swap top lane, where this wave is going to be bounced back by Unicorns as well. Chachi's then going to have this small advantage, and this Rumble is just left on his own. He can barely do anything. No. You keep him in the lane where you kill the tower. He now sits with a wave, he's getting some free farm for himself. 80 carries are the ones who has to move around instead. Pickaxe being picked up for Yanin. He's now going to look to push in that tower. And we can see how Unicorns, well, they're saying, we know you're going to send Jinx to the top side, and we want that 2v2 now. We don't want to allow you to push the second tower very fast.
Let's see what this does to Chachi, because he's already down a little bit, even in levels. And of course, does have that teleport available, as does Odo Amne. Odo Amne, who was rated 3rd by Humi, if memory serves, as top laner. Gonna stick around up top, still hanging out, and a lot of unicorns moving to Hjarnan. Hjarnan's got flash and heal. This is going to be so close to Fisio. The hop comes in. Chachi's charging up from Mega Roll. Flame Chompers catches two. Hjarnan's going to flash away. Dodges past the concussive bite. And Kasing, he's even looking forward for more. Summoner spells used. Lulix goes for the flash body slam. First blood to Hjarnan.
Kasing was only level 2, that's why there was no Lantern. But H2k, as soon as they saw so many guys from Unicorns on the top side, knew something was going on. Lulix started moving. H2k and Hjarnan, bought enough time. Kikis already used his flash earlier. Simply caught out of position, the perfect member to get the first spot as well on Hjarnan here, and it backfires for H2k, oh sorry, for Unicorns, because down the bottom lane, well, there's a frozen wave. This Rumble here, 26 CS for himself. Chachi got denied because he was there trying to set up that gank, and H2k once again is getting a lead in these lane swaps.
Very well played. The fact that Hjarnan got those Flame Chompers down so early, buying him time. So power trough for both mid laners as they've gone tier each. See how long it takes them to stack those.
Power Evil does all the time.
He really likes his tier.
Power
Evil's got the same itemization playbook, unlike every champion.
It's very slow scaling for Moriana. It's already a very passive mage in the early to mid game. Then he goes tier into Morello Nomicon. Then he upgrades the tier obviously into Seraph. And then, yes, he will be strong once those two items are completed. But it's also going to delay his Death Cap, which then delays his Void Staff. So he's kind of delaying his core build by going for tier, but he wants that extra mana region clearly, and he wants that extra late game once he has these 4 or 5 items for himself. But it can be tricky getting there, especially when Rio is on this Jace, who's going to spike so hard in the mid game himself, and we know Jinx is so strong at taking down towers. So if you can force Unicorns off them, Hjarnan's going to move in and say thank you very much, take down another objective.
Remember, it was in the mid game that Unicorns stepped up yesterday against Origin, finding ways to punish the Jace with that Braum. Hylissang's had some target practice. We do see Hylissang and Chachi down in the bottom lane. Vargas is left alone. Adewamne doesn't have access to Equalizer yet, but he's picking a fight in this minion wave. Maybe he doesn't want this one. Gonna start overheating. There's flash available. He's flashed in. Gonna be in trouble now again. No Equalizer. Chachi, he's used Teleport to come down. There is some support from Lulix. 2 of those Electro Harpoons connect. Flame Spitters coming out. Adewamne is gonna get hopped on.
Whoa!
Snipe!
Out of nowhere!
From way downtown, Vardag's forced to flash defensively.
Not even sure why was Vardax pushing that top lane on his own. Again, they're giving so much farm and XP over to Adewamne, and poor little Chachi is the guy there sitting around saying, you know what, you're on your own, you just try and find farm somewhere. Then he had to TP in to try and save Vardax, ends up dying for it, gets a rocket smacked in his face. So he's even further behind now. We can just see a difference in mentality here for H2k and Unicorns of Love. One team is saying we want our top laner to be strong. Another team is saying we want our AD carry to get extra farm and extra experience. And it's completely backfiring for them because Vardax couldn't really do a whole lot. He was sitting there, he had to like flash away in the one-on-one. Really a poor decision for Unicorns and punished by H2k.
2,000 gold, 2 kills for Hjarnan. Level disparity, farm disparity between the top laners. Quite a big one, in fact. Roughly 20 CS. Adewamne, if he starts a fight shortly, will have the advantage.
And also we have to go all the way back to when the towers died in the lane swap. We mentioned how Unicorns were sending Vardax and Hylissang back to the top lane because they wanted to stop the fast push coming in from a Jinx, but that meant that Chachi had nowhere to go because the wave in the bot lane was frozen. He was already falling slightly behind, and it would be very risky for him to overextend down there with no tower to back him up. Lulix could just gank him super easily, so he had to stay top and like be part of this gank that ended up backfiring for the Unicorns of Love. It's just very tricky for Chachi to find anything on the map. That's why we normally see teams send the bottom lane down and just push out the wave against that top laner and then reset the whole thing.
And to Fisher, now that we do see the duos coming toe-to-toe, in our pre-game, we mentioned how Hjarnan is still the sort of penultimate carry. He's responsible for more of his team's damage in the AD carry role than any other player. Vardax is the complete opposite. He is currently ranked 11th out of all ADCs for team damage. because it is more about Power of Evil. It's more about Chachi, or has been in recent weeks. Vardex is not off to the start he'd want against this very, very late scaling Jinx.
Yeah, too early kills from him. He's currently sitting on only 700 gold because he went for that average blade. So he's basically saying now, okay, I'm going to be a little bit weaker, but then I'm going to get faster to my 2 and 3 item spike. Lulex is back top lane. Chachi, my friend.
Flash body slam, or rather the body slam flash connects. Electro Harpoon's going to get flashed away from. The slow from Boomerang should keep him alive. A follow-up body slam.
Where's the shock blast?
Ryu, accelerated shock blast! For the goal. Kasing will be going down in the background though. Death Sentence flashed past as Kikis dives in. Teleport comes up from Odawamne. This may be hurting. Hyanin is all throwing down the rockets for the AoE. Switches to minigun. The Super Mega Death Rocket goes out and connects with Hylissang. It won't be enough for a kill, but Ryu's going to look for more. He does have that blue buff available. Cooldown's up. Accelerated, blocked by Hylissang. As long as there's vision, Hilly knows it's coming.
Yeah.
And he can play catch all day long.
Only one Ryu doesn't want to hit is Hylissang, of course. Blocked it, but again, Chachi, you see what happens. Again, he's pushing up the lane. He's just trying and reset it, trying to get it down to that tier 2 tower. But then he overextends so much because of it, and he's all alone. There's no help for him. Another gank happens. He ends up dying. Again, Ryu picks up the kill this time. Odano then had to TP down bottom lane with the fight. I think he could have just canceled that one after Kasing went down, and just being happy that there was a massive wave for him top to take. But in the end, H2k still in the goal lead. Started Dragon. UOL is nowhere near to contest this one. Chachi back top lane. Vardex pushed down to his own tier 2 tower. So easy Dragon for H2k. And
you know, Dragons is not something that H2k prioritizes particularly. You can see by the stats.
Well, if you don't have to do anything for it,
UOL have taken 29 Dragons up to this point. That's the 21st one that H2k have taken. But H2k tends to just accelerate through kills and through towers. They win without the neutral objectives. Whereas for a lot of the other teams like SK, for example, they try to win through Dragon, and unfortunately it doesn't always work out.
Dragon is a slow snowball. You gotta reach those 5 stacks before anything really happens here. But I'm taking a lot of damage. Now Kikis is coming to help Chachi.
Odawamne is in trouble. He does have flash, gonna start overheating, and will flash away. Equalizer not the greatest, but summon spell down.
But we see a quick change here. Unicorn's realizing, okay, last time Chachi tried to push out the wave, he got ganked and killed. Now this time, Kikis is moving in here to help him get the flash. Chachi gets to push into the tower, and now Hylissang as well. So he's finally getting some farm. And then H2k either has to make a decision. Do we want to move multiple members to this lane and then force Unicorns back and maybe get a fight? Or do we want to try and take something elsewhere on the map? Mid lane is being pushed in at the moment. And this tower, it's going to be fairly easy to take down once you move in a Jinx. But for now, H2k is just playing it safe. Moving into the lane that was just pushed down.
Yeah, both of those mid laners with a lot of gold to spend. We'll expand on that in a second. Kasing and Hyanin. This is about to be a part of
Kasing's on face check.
2v3. Face check isn't going to work out. The AoE's coming out, and that's a dead Kasing. The hop comes out from Chachi. Winter's Bite. Is it ready? Flash forward for the auto attack. Lulex will try to save the day, but it won't be enough. The barrel's going to apply a small slow, and 2 kills for Unicorn. Sheepy will be happy with a small comeback. Unicorns adjusting on the fly,
yeah,
and making it work.
I really like that from the Unicorns of Love. After being burned so many times around the lanes where Chachi was, this time they were the ones waiting. H2k clearly did not expect that. Just started pushing up the way, thought they could push it out, and then maybe rotate to mid lane. Lulex is still staying around.
Oops, this might not work out. Kikis is in trouble. The barrel knocks him backwards. Lulex is going to survive. Then Super Mega Death Rocket comes by. Kasing does have Ignite. No Death Sentence comes out though, and H2k get 1 back to not lose a tower. I quickly want to highlight that both of these mid laners are backing with around 3,000 gold each. Early Archangels, wow. Brutalizer, Ionian Boots, and Manamune completed. Big, big jumps in itemization.
You got a BF Sword on your Jinx as well, so H2k have to be able to use this massive spike, especially because, yes, you upgraded your tier from Power Wheel, but it's not fully stacked. You have 0 cooldown reduction at this point as well. Morel Nomicon normally coming in second for him. So he's not very strong. He's just looking to farm. That's it. H2k needs to be able to play around that. This mid tower is already fairly low. You still have a massive advantage in the top lane. So just reset your whole mindset now. Unicorns had some few good moves here. They got a few kills. But now you go back and you play it safe. You aim towards this fast pushing and the poke from the Jace.
So Deficio, 15 minutes in. 2,000 gold advantage for H2k still. Dragon will be up shortly. Trinity Force also picked up for Vardag, so he's going to have the option to get involved. Slow on the draw that time, Hillesang. And Chachi desperately trying to defend up top. Only got a Hex Drinker and Ninja Tabite, but he's got the support. Here comes Kikis and Vardags. We'll quickly look middle as Ryu's in trouble, but he's got the support of Lulex. 2v2, Shockwave catches Lulex, and it's simply not enough. The cast throws Power of Evil against the wall, and Ryu shock blasts for one more. It looks like Hyanan and Kasing got out alive as well, at the cost of a Kasing flash. But H2k are everywhere.
Yeah, after a few good moves for Unicorns, this was not the correct one. You're using your support and your extremely weak mid laner who's currently just sitting on a lot of mana and a very low amount of AP. We saw the Shockwave, barely did any damage onto Lulex, and then suddenly you instantly lose that 2v2. That's your mid tower. Next one is going to take a lot of damage for it as well. And the Unicorns, after making some good moves, set themselves really far behind.
Looks like there's a rumble in the jungle as Lulex and Kikis find one another. The knock up onto that big body barrel. Ryu's coming to back up Lulex, and the shock blast was held onto. Kasing not going to connect to the death sentence this time round, and I think that was a small fan vote in favor of UOL, if I read that correctly. But H2k just as per usual, really. Accelerating between 10 and 20 minutes.
A few, hard to call them mistakes, but they got surprised a few times in the early game. We saw a good adaptation for Unicorns of Love. Kasing face checked it. Odame's TP down the bottom lane wasn't necessary either, but it's been the small ones for H2k. They're still in full control of the game. They have this massive power spike compared to Unicorns because of certain items being built. Vardag's not been able to have much of an impact yet. He's going to get his boots upgraded now, but there's not a whole lot he can do. He cannot match the poke of the Jace at this point. You want to get more cooldown reduction in Hillesang as well, because you need the cooldown down on this shield. For him, currently it's like 14 seconds, where at the gate for Ryu is about 9 seconds. So you can't really follow every single one, but you can block a lot of them. Obviously, he's maxing his shield second as well. So simply try and be as annoying as possible against Ryu.
Ryu trying to do the same thing as all Jace players want to do. Odawamne's a couple minions away from level 11. Chachi's trying to trade aggressively. Made up quite a lot of that CS. He was down around 40 a few minutes ago. Now it's only 25. And UOL trying to get some vision control. Look at the mini-map. A lot of tunnels and wards on the top half of the map for UOL. Not necessarily the greatest around Dragon, but they're in the river already.
They have to be very careful around this Dragon here, because again, your Orianna is so weak, and you're against a Rumble, you're against an Jace who just picked up a BF sword because there's very low amount of armor on the side of Unicorns, and also gives him just more all-in potential for it, delaying his last Whisper a little bit, but he had enough gold for it. We got a vintage on Hyanan, sorry, so Unicorns are starting it. H2k, if they want to fight for it, they have to move down now.
Doesn't look to be the case.
They want to try and trade it for top tower instead, but that's not going to work.
Slow to react.
Yeah, they could have fought for this one for sure.
Level 11 on Rumble. Item advantages all over and just not work out. So Chachi's going to crunch. Flash Gnaw! Flashed away! Whew! That was quick.
Trading flash for flash at least. H2k back pushing the mid lane. Lulex is not nearby. He's down the bottom lane. He's very far. It's only 3 guys from H2k. They're going to have to force or back away from this one. Maybe try and get this top tower down. Very surprised, though, about this Dragon. How you just gave that one up so easily for the Unicorns of Love.
For H2k, though, Dragon, again, not one of their biggest. As we said, they've secured 21. They've given up 24.
Well, again,
so
what they normally do...
priority when it's Dragon number 1.
What they normally do is they then trade it and say, okay, you go Dragon, fine, we go top, and we take your tier 1 tower as a trade then. But Chachi had TP ready to go up and defend it, so that was not really an option. Obviously, pushing it in now, they are still so much stronger. Kikis is the only guy trying to help Vardax. We're just stuck on this tower, poor guy. And now they will get down his tower. Anyway, so all the autos are gone. Time to deep ward.
A little later than you were expecting, Deficio, but H2k eventually get their target. After Power of Evil took that massive shock blast to the face, his Seraphs got completed as well. So that's not too bad on timing. But a mix and match of itemization. Seeker's Arm Guard, as well as that Forbidden Idol. Gonna be a while before PoE is really relevant in this matchup.
We're talking good 10, 15 minutes before we're really gonna see anything for him. Currently he's sitting on about 240 AP, obviously, with the Seraph fully stacked out, so that is fine. Fairly low amount of cooldown reduction though, coming in. And obviously with 20 minutes in, so honestly it's not that great. And the problem is you just spend all your gold, so your large rod is gonna be very delayed. Obviously you're looking towards this Hourglass now as well. So Deathcap Void Staff is gonna be pushed back even further. Let's see if he gets to that late game point.
H2k, they've cracked open the outer towers. Game did start in that lane swap that UOL initiated, and it's H2k again that came out ahead. We said this a while ago. But now it's up to UOL to defend. They do have relatively good wave clear with Orianna and Corki. On the assumption they don't get poked out.
As long as Hylissang is there to block the poke from Ryu, Unicorn should be able to sit and wave clear. But there's very little poke they can send back. It's only Vardax on his own to try and poke down H2k. That's going to be not enough, honestly, just Corki on his own, because Power Beaver is going to focus on clearing the waves. And then it's going to be more about how can Hylissang, Chachi, and Kikis engage together. That's what we talked about. They need to find a way to reach the backline of H2k when they start the fight. Otherwise, H2k has too much damage to simply just kite it back a little bit and then blow up one target with this BF Sword Jace or the rocket coming in from Yanin. So UOL needs to find a flank or need to have the flashes ready. We're going to have to see like a flash ulti from Hylissang, a flash knockup from Kikis to get onto H2k.
Look at how aggressive H2k were taking the tower down. Death Sentence connects onto Hylissang. The Flame Chompers separates out UOL. First kill secured for Hyanin as he's going to look to run down. Flash away from Vardax to dodge the Super Mega Death Rocket. Equalizer's going to burn up Unicorns of Love as Power of Evil Shockwave really didn't do a lot. And I like the way Hyanin used that acceleration gate in the mid lane to dash in and out to get the tower. And Unicorn's just face-checking the jungle.
So what you can do, you also have the Lantern for Kasing. If someone is out of position, you just pull them back again. Unicorn's losing another tower. We saw it, Hylissang try to move in. Be like, okay, is there any chance I can start a fight here? Everyone has flashes ready on the side of H2k, so the Braum ulti is near impossible to land onto them. Chachi will get a bot lane tower at least, but let's see. Hylissang is going in at this point, but there's no way for Unicorns to reach Ryu and Yana in the back. And now they can just get the kill, start clearing it up. Ulti from Power we use just to disengage. And just very, very difficult when you run these kind of comps against some poke, against some backline, or the threats in the backlines. It requires so much coordination, and often it's just impossible to pull off.
5,000 gold down, 3 towers down. What an uphill battle. And you know, at the forefront of all of it for H2k has been Lulex. Every time somebody from the Unicorns has been punished, Lulex has been there to lend a helping hand and a friendly drink. 106, 100% kill participation. Definitely an unsung hero of H2k. I think in recent weeks we've been trying to just tell a little bit more of his story because you've got so many carries from every other role, but Lulex is, in my opinion, an underrated jungler for how good he actually performs.
And just what him and Kasing together can do in terms of vision control. Always aiming for these side stones. You have double side stones set up, placing so many wards and playing them out, and just setting up your carries. That's your job right now. If you are Lulex, it's making the other guys look great. And the fact that they are looking great means Lulex is doing his job. Same goes for Kasing, but then steals the spotlight a few times here and there. Gets a lot of praise as well, both guys, from the rest of the team.
Deservedly so, Luficio. H2k, Dragon's going to be up in 10 seconds. They gave away the previous one, uncontested. However, H2k are much stronger than they were. Crab control as well. Power of Evil, still no noticeable increase in power. And as we said, H2k this time around, not going to give it up. No other easy objectives to fight for. Take the safe.
Yeah, one outer turret, or sorry, tier 1 turret left in the bottom lane for H2k to take down. Once they do that, I mean, what you can do with this comp they're running as well, if Rumble is grouped with you, lay down that ulti behind the tower, and you simply just force them away. That buys so much time for Yanin to go in and just melt the tower at this point here. Again, Unicorns, they're gonna have to try and find a way to engage onto them, but there's no wards behind them to jump to at the moment. And Hylissang has no flash to jump in with either.
And the last time H2k sieged up mid in a turret, Ryu put that acceleration gate just a little out of range, and Yanin dashed forward, put a rocket down, backed away. Dashed forward, put a rocket down.
And look at this, Mega Gnar pops. Everyone backs away. Odonma is still sitting in the mid lane. He's going to join his team very soon. He has no TP yet, but it's very quick for him to move.
There's a Shockwave! What? Shockwave catches him out, and he's down! Vodex gets the kill! H2k in full retreat. Boomerang's going to slow Lulex, but the explosive cast will knock UOL away. And a momentary lapse of judgment. Yanin goes down.
Even flash used. Nice Shockwave from Power of Evil. But really, for H2k, that was the only thing they were looking for. Was a random Shockwave or something where your own AD carries out of position. Not sure what Yanin was doing, but this is very important for Unicorns of Love. If they can get more from this, could be a way back in the game.
And despite all of the talk about Power of Evil not having power, he finds the crucial ability. Yanin's respawned. Odonma has no teleport. He's recalling from top lane. I think Unicorns are aware of that. Righteous Glory, I believe, was popped there by Lulex. He's going to be unable to find a target. So the tower's left standing and UOL get a kill.
Yeah, bought them a little bit of time. But a very important kill as well. For the drop, didn't really even have to use anything. Just popped the Shockwave and then 80 carries left alone. Yanin's going to have to be a bit more careful next time. And H2k, at this point, they can also just start setting up Baron and bait around it, force Unicorns to come in and take a fight, or force them to be in a situation where you can land the Shock Blast so easy from Ryu. Start warding up this jungle. You obviously need multiple layers to spot them coming in. It's always so annoying when you play against a team on purple side. It's so easy for them to sneak in a ward on the Baron and then kind of stop you in your tracks. But if you're H2k, you might just look to force that team fight because you know you're strong.
So Baron, pretty even between these two teams this split, but H2k with the gold advantage. Arguably the team fight advantage thanks to
for sure,
the range and the poke that they have in their favor. Yanin takes 2 big hits. Face the mountain to block that last fight. And we did see the small defense of the invade there from UOL, looking to set something up, but unfortunately not able to make it happen.
Bot lane right now is gonna very slowly push for H2k. You can see how the next wave is gonna meet the current waves a lot faster on the side of H2k, so it's gonna start pushing towards Unicorns of Love, but it's gonna take a lot of time to build that one up. So it's a lot of time H2k has to start setting up here, keep playing out the wards and dance around the Baron, and Unicorns even have a TP to go down and clear it, so shouldn't have too much of an effect.
Fischio, the next time we see Power of Evil back, should finish off that hourglass.
How much gold?
Sitting on 2,300 gold. Finally get a good spike. Little puppy there, scared of the camera. Cameraman, let him go, man, let him go! Equalizer onto Power of Evil, he's in trouble. Glacial Fisher comes out to split up the teams. It's Hylissang's Braum, the manliest of men that's down. And for his life, Unicorns have managed to pick up 2. They're trading even thus far as Yanin's looking for more. Chachi's in Mega Gnar, he's eaten a house and a command attack. Kick is unable to sink the fangs down as Ryu gets himself a few. Accelerated shock blast for the snipe. Will it connect? No, because Power of Evil's far enough away.
And finally H2k, they get that one team fight they were looking for. This was why they were dancing around that Baron for so long. Nice ulti and then the flash body slam from Lulex to get Power of Evil. Looked good in the start for Unicorns. They got the front line down, but that was because Ryu and Yanin were chasing around for some of these squishes. Look at this here. Nice engage on the Power of Evil. So now he's forced to use his ulti as well on just the 2 guys in the front line. That is okay for Unicorns at this point. The problem is, you still haven't been able to reach the back line. Ryu, full HP, chases down Vardex, takes him down easily. And now both Yanin and him can clean up the rest. Yanin takes a lot of damage for it. But this is what we talk about. There's just so few ways for Unicorns to get to Ryu, get to Yanin. And they are the guys you need to shut down.
Unicorns of Love falling further and further behind. 30 minutes down. Baron bait is a very real thing if H2k want to use it. And it's going to be even more difficult for the next few minutes for Unicorns of Love to defend or engage, because they have no flashes.
Yeah, that's very key. Highlighted it a few times. So Chachi trying to like flash in and stun Yanin. See if they can take him down. Does have TP, so sitting bot lane, but H2k just back here.
He doesn't even care. Maybe a little less than he should. But there's the Baron. Ward's being cleared out if H2k want to start this.
Yeah, Chachi just lost his Mega Gnar. And H2k feeling very confident they can move in, because even if Chachi teleports in, he's no threat at all in mini Gnar, so they can just bully Unicorns out of the jungle, place the wards here, and if they can fire from out of vision, it becomes hard for Hylissang to block the shock blast. Just pure reflex for him, and they're just starting the Baron instantly. Again, Chachi, he's building up his barn now. Don't think he can even do anything in time.
It might be too late. H2k have secured Baron before Unicorns can even respond. Chachi still pushing down the bottom wave. He's already transformed into Mega Gnar. Odawamne eats a lot. He throws down the Equalizer. Look for a Super Mega Death Rocket if anyone goes low enough. Fiona holds on to the cooldown for now. Let's look bottom lane. Chachi, can he get the tower? There's your picture-in-picture. Down in the bottom left. Odawamne gonna recall. We can see Ryu moving in to match. There is a teleport for Odawamne, but no real wards to jump into.
Lulix is coming down though. They might just try and catch Chachi and then take a dragon after.
Let's take a look. Dragon is live. Chachi's throwing the boomerangs for his life. Righteous Glory comes out. Lulex is going to find the slow. Is going to get the body slam and the explosive. And Ryu just knocks him out the air. It is the 4th of July tomorrow, and Ryu wants to play some baseball. Unfortunately, it's a mini Gnar that he's using to knock around the rift.
And now we can see H2k just saying, Dragon, nah, let's go for more.
Death Sentence, gonna go wide. Hjarnan and Kasing flashed for that one. Zap's gonna miss as well. Come on, H2k, hit the skill shot. Flay doesn't connect. Kasing's gonna give up his life for missing all those skill shots. Odawamne now turns over to Vardax. Hjarnan's got the kill credit. And H2k, a tad over-eager.
Not the most flashy play from Kasing. Do secure another one. Vardax gets a kill for himself. It's been hard for him to do anything. He knows he can't really try and trade against Ryu in terms of poke. And Unicorns have had very few team fights where someone like Vardax can even hit someone, because Rum is just gonna put down his ulti and then pop that hourglass, and he's not really gonna do anything against Vardax. And if he ever moves too close, Hjarnan and Ryu is just gonna switch to him instantly and just almost one-shot him. We've seen the damage from Ryu Infinity Edge. When he jumps in and he pops his W, man, he's just destroying people.
Yes, he is. Kikis is in trouble. Equalizer's available, but Odawamne was overheated, so gonna hold on to it. Dragon survived a few seconds longer than maybe he expected to. That's number 3, and the movement speed. H2k will be happy to secure. Lex is gonna avoid a little bit of pressure from the Unicorns, and the last inner turret standing is the target for H2k.
Yeah, last time they tried to push it in, we saw Hjarnan randomly getting caught out. He has no flash this time around, but Unicorn's not really in any position to defend. You got the Baron buff as well for them, and with super minis coming in the mid lane, H2k being so strong, as long as they don't have one of these mistakes with Ryu and Hjarnan, they should be able to just poke this one out and keep getting so much damage down.
Death Sentence connects onto Hylissang. Jumps onto Chachi, stand behind me. And gives some additional stats. Kasing's Death Sentence goes wide once more, but look at that Baron-empowered minions. Hammering away on the Nexus turrets.
Oh, it's just a small, useless minion now.
By a banner of command. Death Sentence again connects on Hylissang. They're gonna flay them back towards the wall. Equalizer burns through Hylissang's brown. Lolix is trying to find another target as Odawamne is overheated. Look at how far Vardax got knocked down the lane. He's gonna find one. Flash for Lulix. And dramatic pause. I agree, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I'm not in position yet.
There we go.
Hjarnan was able to get a kill while Vardax did the same.
2 for 2 so far.
So far.
H2k get a hook on to Hylissang, and they're like, he's the support. Let's all pile together. There's only this thing called Shockwave, and then let's try and take him down. Ryu ends up getting almost one shot at this time. Definitely being, again, a little bit greedy, and Unicorns punish him for it.
Just an update, I have heard that it was Kikis that started the pause. We will get more information on as to why. We are in the midst of an incredibly dramatic team fight, but take a look at the items and gold. Only 8,000 gold difference. Finally, some power items on a Power of Evil. Morellonomicon Hourglass, it has taken 30 minutes.
Yeah, very, very late for him on the Morellonomicon. Third item, not even sure if it's worth it at this point to complete it, because again, you're sitting and missing the 2 key items as an AP carry, Death Cap and Void Staff. And it's all just been so delayed for him. We see now he has decent damage. He can one-shot Ryu if he gets, you know...
Close enough.
Close enough, because Ryu, for some reason, is jumping the Braum, and it's like, here I am, one-shot me.
Ryu with his standard expression, but for Chachi,
it's
a
focus.
lot of concern. A lot of concern.
It's been a tough game for Unicorns.
During the pauses, players are not allowed to talk, but look at this, Odoamne as well. Just for the record, Chachi and Odoamne are both down. They have both been taken out this team fight. Very, very serious looks. I'm still waiting to hear exactly what the reason for the pause is. But as you said, Unicorns have in fact struggled. They got bullied despite finding some picks. It was H2k that dictated the tempo, decided where the focus was going to be.
And it really just started in this lane swap here where, as we mentioned a few times, we saw a difference in which lane do you want to get fed or which lane do you want to secure farm on, because H2k said, okay, Odoamne, we need you to have a strong mid game. We need to make sure you're not getting denied too much from this lane swap. So he was the guy who stayed in the bottom lane when they killed the tower. He got a frozen wave. It bounced back towards him, pushed down towards his tower, and he was fine. While Chachi was sitting top, AD carries came up there. Both AD carries were like, okay, we're just going to try and find each other here. So Chachi had no lane to farm. They tried a gank. It didn't work, and he was super far behind. And once he finally returned to a lane, he just got ganked and killed. So Chachi got denied by his own team, by H2k as well. He's done a good job getting back in the game. We always talk about how Gnar, with this Black Cleaver, is very strong in the one-on-ones. Problem is, obviously, again, it makes you a little bit weak in team fights because you lack some extra tanky stats. And he's not been able to have much of an impact.
Coming up against the tank of Lulex, 1-1-13, involved in 14 out of 15 kills. Again, phenomenal performance. Always where H2k need him to be. When we had that period of play where the top lane had all the action, where, you know, Vardags was pushing down, then he got killed, and then we saw Hyanin coming up, and they got ganked multiple times. Lulex was around. Lulex backed them up. Lulex came for the counters. Lulex is sort of leading the way. I actually think he may have killed Odoamne there this fight, because I'm quite confident Lulex threw the explosive cask, which knocked Vardags closer. Hopefully we'll get a replay of that to review once we resume the game. But overall, a very impactful performance. Hyanin, 5-2-4 on that Jinx. Again, relied on by the rest of the team to carry.
But we still see H2k do so many things super well, and then there's like these small mistakes they tend to do. This last team fight, it's not a small, that's a big mistake now. Ryu getting one shot, Hyanin before that being caught up by the shockwave. So they're not doing themselves any favors, and that's a difference compared to the H2k we saw in the first few weeks before they faced Fnatic. It seems like there's been some changes to the team, and they a bit more shaky in the way they play. Got caught out a few times in the early game as well. We heard Chachi talk about it in the feature before, how if we can manage to go even at least in the early to mid game, we might be able to catch them out of position. And they have been able to a few times. Even with H2k being so far ahead, it's not been the cleanest game. And
not.
We get to see now what can happen late game.
And, you know, maybe those losses last week, the 0-2, first time that's happened since Kissing joined H2k, shook the team more than anticipated. I am getting an update, guys, from our production and our referee team. And I believe my initial assessment was incorrect. I believe it is Hyanin and Kissing who actually created the pause. There is some discussion around some interactions with Thresh, which everybody is investigating and taking a closer look. Once I get more information, I will give you another update. But as we say, it's H2k in a strong lead for the time being. H2k find themselves right near the top of the table with Origin.
Yeah.
Only 8-3.
Both teams
vying for second place.
Yeah, been fighting against each other, and they keep it very even. Both teams had a bit of have had a few losses here and there, but then H2k won yesterday. Obviously, where Origin lost.
Yeah.
So if they take the win here, should be able to just sit as the second place for now.
That's actually important to note, because we're getting now into the next, like the last 3 weeks of games. H2k lost the first time they came up against Origin. And if H2k lose the next time they meet head-to-head, that head-to-head could determine tiebreaker seeding. That head-to-head could determine who gets the number 2 seed behind Fnatic. and who has to play in a quarterfinal to make it to semis.
And it is so important to get the #2 spot because, first of all, you get a bye. Of course, you get straight into the semifinal, which also means you dodge around Fnatic, who's in the other one, so you can't face them before the final itself, which is very important because obviously for H2k, they got 3rd place in the spring split, so have quite a lot of championship points, get 2nd place, and you should be guaranteed a spot then at Worlds because you're going to have so many points built up.
If not in the regional qualifiers, at the very least.
At the very least. So that's obviously what they're aiming for. And for Origin, the fact they're sitting on 0 points, they have to earn enough to get at least into the regionals as well. So if they go to the quarterfinals and lose, they might not even be able to have a chance of making it to Worlds.
Then you look at the other side of this matchup, Unicorns of Love. 5 wins, 6 losses. They play 2nd in spring, so they have even more championship points than H2k. However, Unicorns at the moment are looking closer to a 4th through 6th. I'm going to go 4th through 6th. I don't think they can place 3rd, but they're battling for a shot in the playoffs to make it to quarters, to make it to semis. And we keep saying, best of 5 team, best of 5 team. I do not think this version of UOL in summer is the same strength as the version in spring.
Agree.
I'm not seeing the same highs. I'm not seeing the same level of team fight, the same individuals stepping up. I have more doubts than I did earlier in the year.
But is that because H2k as a team is improving? Is it because Origin is now in the league? Obviously as a stronger team than Medium Makers, who got auto-relegated last time here. They've obviously pushed down quite a few teams as well. So there's more competition for Unicorns of Love. And then also just the meta we played the first few weeks of the LCS clearly didn't favor them because it was so weak in the early to mid game and we had so many one-sided games that got snowballed in that mid game. Teams would get a quick advantage, like a lot of tower dives going on and a lot of hard engage to just force fights over and over. And it didn't favor them. They want to play more, the late game style. Power of Evil really likes these late game champions. We haven't seen him do well on Syndra in a long... Okay, he had the one great game, I guess, but that's been about it for him. He's played it once, this split. So he no longer has these early game mid laners.
Great game. This split is not something I'd call his Syndra, if I'm going to be honest.
He had a good start to the game.
Okay, that's better.
And then he got caught out and died.
Yeah, his positioning. That was against Giants when they ran Wukong and Shyvana. We can see there's an update being provided to Visit Chachi. I'm hearing from production we are hoping to get back in the game relatively shortly. And we've touched on the league, we've touched on overall. We're going to give everybody a reminder at home. We are getting closer and closer to playoffs. The 3 ways to make it to the World Championships here in the 2015 season: win the summer split, prove to be the best team in summer, have the highest amount of championship points, prove to be the best team throughout the year, or win the regional qualifier, which is to prove to be the best team on the current patch. So if you're on a current hot streak, those are the 3 ways. Unicorns and H2k could do it through winning the split, or on championship points. That's a little more likely.
Yeah, I think that most teams will not be looking at beating Fnatic at the moment.
Every team should be.
You should.
Yes.
That's what you're aiming for. And that's the funny thing also when you have these clear difference between the top teams and so on. Every other team is looking towards them. They're looking, saying, okay, how do they play? What can we do to catch up? And that's why we sometimes see them drop games here and there. And Yanin, he's going crazy with that inhibitor.
He's getting excited and getting away. And right, let's get back into it. 34 minutes on the clock. Unicorns of Love trade 2 for 2 in the team fight, but lose their inhibitor in the middle lane. Hopefully we can get a replay of that fight to jolt everybody's memories, including my own.
Really have to look at Rio in that fight because he has so much damage. You can see with his build as well in Vintage, he wants to get in there because he knows he can almost one-shot or one combo nearly every single target of these squishy members from the Unicorns of Love. However, it just means there's a chance for Power Weevil then to shockwave him because we keep mentioning how it's Unicorns who's not able to catch H2k's backline, and that's why they have such a hard time winning the fights. But if the backline is jumping forward anyway, it's going to be fairly easy that way for Unicorns of Love. No real objectives on the map either. Baron is down, Dragon is down, so just the base left for H2k.
We'll find out if they can crack it open, take down those turrets. Did get another update. Here's the team fight happened just before the pause.
So let's look at Hillsang. He's getting caught by the hook from Kasing, and then notice how Rio is standing so close because he wants to deal damage to him.
Oh.
That allows Power Weevil to get the shockwave. Yanin as well was coming from the mid lane, so there's not really a whole lot of damage being dealt. They're not standing together to back down of H2k to try and kite back. Instead, Unicorns will get some kills. Very important for them. Just really showing the Odoamna here. Going down, highlighting Katewa. He died.
It's your fault, Odoamne. To close out the reason for that pause, by the way, guys, I did get it confirmed. There was a issue related to attack move. We did see it was Chachi being spoken to there by our referees, and after having a look at the footage, believe that there was nothing further to investigate. So that's why we've come back into the game, and we do see Chachi and Odoamne going toe-to-toe. Equalizer used from Odoamne, so that's a pretty big cooldown. Not available if H2k want to continue that siege.
Yeah, we might just see H2k wait for another Baron. Tell Unicorns a lot, if you want to move out of your base, away from these towers here, then you have to fight us out in the open. We have proven time and time again that we are stronger. We have the Righteous Glory on Lulex, and Odoamne's ulti should be ready in time. So they are just going to wait for this Baron. Start setting up again. They're doing such a good job, always establishing so much vision control around it at first, playing it very safe in that way. Because they know Unicorns of Love needs a proper flank, or maybe a flash engage. Helsing has his ready. Kickers as well very soon.
And of course, it will be Baron number 2 of this game. H2k picked one up a little earlier in the matchup. Take a look at the itemization. Last Whisper, completed Mirror Mana, Eye Edge, and Ghostblade for Ryu. Looks like he'll get himself a Bloodthirster to round out his 6-item full AD Jace. You don't need no defensive stats. On the assumption, he doesn't jump in with Hammer Time.
There is a ward just behind where H2k is standing now. I'm not sure if it just disappeared from the lane itself. That could be an opening for Chachi. Once he builds up this Mega now, you can see the ward in your minimap just where the minions are coming in. And Unicorns will have to fight. They cannot defend the tower forever. And if they can get that proper flank, that might be the best shot for them.
Take a look at this. Tower has been secured and Kikis is being focused down. Rocket after rocket. Shockwave is available for Power of Evil. Let's see where it's going to hit. The ward in the lane is available, and Chachi's got a third of a Mega Gnar bar. He's going to hold on to his TP for now.
Yeah, so H2k is saying, you know what, we didn't even have to wait for this Baron. We just kind of reset a little bit, then we went back to this lane that was already so low. Unicorns didn't get to pull the trigger. And now they're going to have to do it at Baron. So every single fight for them is what we should assume is going to be the last one in case they lose it, but also the only way for Unicorns to get back in the game.
Kikis used that Void Rush to go up towards the top lane, get closer to Baron to maybe challenge, maybe get some warding down. Super's in 2 lanes. So we can expect once somebody from Unicorns goes to defend, H2k can play the Baron game.
Yeah, we're just going to see the same game where Chachi is sitting and defending, and H2k are just looking at him all the time, and where is he in terms of his Mega Gnar? If it's pop for him, okay, they just back away slightly. Once he's sitting in Mini Gnar, they can go back and start the Baron, and then force a fight with Chachi not being able to do anything. Kikis and Lulex trading here. Oh, Kikis might be caught out.
He's flashed in his tunnel to get to safety. Lulex is continuing to chase with that barrel. Kasink looking for more. We do see Lulex is now the man that's overextended, but look at the equalizer. Glacial Fish is going to make H2k slow to get into the fight. Hylissang's low, Vardags is low. Death Sentence doesn't connect, and Odoamne comes out of being golden. Super Mega Death Rocket didn't get a kill, but Power of Evil did. Trades his life for Vardags, and that's a 1-for-1 you'll take any day.
Yeah, we saw so many members from Unicorns very low. Hourglass was used from Power of Evil to stop the Jinx, or to avoid the Jinx Rocket as well. They stayed alive, live to fight another day, and Chachi is coming straight in just to stop the Baron. H2k missing the AD carry, that's very key.
Teleport used from Visit Chachi, which means Odoamne has his available. But need to wait 25 seconds before Hjarnan is up and alive. 40 minutes as the game is slowing down.
So this all starts with the 2 junglers just fighting each other here. They're both trying to find a way to start it. Lulex, of course, if they force a flash from Kikis, it's not much of a threat in the fight, so that's smart enough to start it. And now it's just H2k looking for a target. It's a beautiful equalizer coming from Odoamne. Lulex taking all the damage as well. And look how low Unicorns are. Power of Evil with a nice Hourglass, he stays alive, even gets a kill on Hjarnan, that's the key one, to therefore stop the Baron coming in. Yeah, you got decent damage now.
Yeah.
Onto the squishies.
Late enough in the game, and a needlessly large rod. Equalizer goes out to split up UOL, and H2k get Dragon number 4. There's that minion and monster damage we get from the 4th Dragon buff. H2k have a Baron to play with. Supers in the bottom lane. And we're 41 minutes into this game. I wonder if Hjarnan had fired that Death Rocket towards the rest of the team. 3 low health targets, how that fight could have gone different. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Baron secured by H2k. That's number 2. Lulex goes for the body slam flash. Explosive cask used and Lantern taken out. And H2k will look to peel away, set up the siege. Baron number 2.
2 open inhibitors. Bottom lane 1 should respawn fairly soon. Simply just rushing it down against the Unicorns. Didn't even give Kickers a chance to go in and try and steal it. Shows the damage of H2k, and they've been playing it a bit safe in the end. Trying to like secure, okay, let's back away here. We don't want to risk another team fight where Power of Evil can maybe get off a good shockwave. So instead, let's just take these objectives. And then we move back into the base. Inhibitor here. People notice how Unicorns were positioned, so they could maybe flank in behind, but quickly spotted out by Kasing.
Ooh, a lot of damage onto Hyanin. Trying to put the rockets down onto the inhib. They don't manage to secure it, but they do have Baron, so Minion's going to help out.
Death cap is completed now for Power of Evil. He's there, ready to kill the squishies for himself.
He's found Hyanin in 2 very important fights. Kikis gets chunked down. That wall shield of his will be breaking if he has to sustain for long enough. Inhibitor still standing. Remember, no flash for Kikis. He needed to use it to save his life a little earlier.
And notice where Power of Evil is putting the ball. He's basically telling Hyanin, you can never auto-attack this inhibitor because then you're in the range of my shockwave. So Hyanin has to always dance around it. Now instead, H2k is saying, let's go in.
Righteous Glory comes out. The box was used from Kasing. The explosive cask was good, and the equalizer even better. Shockwave catches Hyanin, but face of the mountain shield keeps him alive for a few seconds longer. Vizichachi's got 2 before he needs to peel away. Hillisang's the only member of Unicorns until that moment to go down, as Kickers follows suit. It's now a 3v3. Super Minions in the middle lane. Bottom inhibitor, think we'll be respawning in a moment or 2. H2k, messy team fights, but they get the inhibitor, which is what they wanted.
They do, but again, they're trying to just simply move forward, but the ball from Power of Evil and the fact there's a threat of maybe a Mega Gnar coming in as well makes it very difficult for H2k to clean up the last few fights here. They're playing very greedy as well for it. Hyanin going down. 4 times he's been dying now on this Jinx. Ryu, on the other hand, only the one down the bottom lane.
And this is what we talked about. Despite H2k winning the game yesterday, we felt it was a little messier. And when you look at this particular matchup, H2k find themselves over 10 minutes longer than their average win time. H2k have the tools to win the game, but they're picking questionable engages. Hyanin's eating more damage and giving up more than he should. It's not what we're used to seeing from the clean and the calculated H2k. Initial Fisher comes out. Odoamne is taking a lot of burst, but he wants to get onto Hillisang, and he does. The overheat comes out, and Kikis isn't able to find more. Death Sentence connects onto Kikis, predicting the flash. Odoamne is just going to burn him down. 2 kills for UOL. And this time around, Hillisang's positive play backfires.
Yeah, they tried to set up a little trap here because Hyanin was coming from base, but instead H2k quickly react, get a few kills. Now 2 guys down, all members alive. We got super minions. This should be it now for H2k.
Big defense needs to happen. Odoamne is teleported in with full HP. Chachi's got Mega Gnar. The first Nexus turret is down, and Chachi is going to get chomped by the Flamers on the ground. The Gnar's just going to be to buy time as Ryu hammers down for a double kill. The Mega Death Rocket for the 3rd of the fight. The Ace and H2k solidly hold 2nd place. Looks of relief there for Odoamne and Lulex.
Big fan of this man here on Jace. Great game so far for Ryu. And he's a guy who tends to relax a little bit the first few weeks, and then when we get closer to the playoffs, he steps up and becomes a massive carry for H2k. Normally the guy who's more sacrificing himself to get the enemy carries down. This one here, 13 kills on the Jace. But yeah, I mean, H2k, apart from giving up those few kills in the early game where Unicorns were trying to trap them a little bit, it felt like they were in control pretty much all the time. They got on all these towers here. They had a very, very strong mid-game just through the Jace Rumble. And then, of course, Hyanin got quite a lot of farm and towers to speed him towards items where he could start dealing a lot of damage. And yet, the last few team fights, it felt like Unicorns always had a chance at least to win the fight, or at least go even.
How different the game could have been if UOL did not fall so far behind in the opening 20 to 25 minutes.
But that's why it's credit to H2k, just for playing it so well. And also, we talked about it a few times, I'm really not a fan of this tier into Maril normally Orianna, because it's just so slow in scaling up, and we are in a meta now where so many of the champions spike hard in the mid game because there's a lot of these poke champions here. They need to farm for like the first 15-20 minutes. Then they get some cooldown reduction and they get some armor penetration, and it's on. Like, that's where we start fighting. And the Orianna build is just too slow for that to really keep up. We saw so many shockwaves in the start of the game doing nothing from it. But then late game, once he got his 3-4 items, we could see him almost one-shot the carries. It just took way too long for Power Evil to get there.
So unfortunate for Power of Evil and the Unicorns of Love. They drop another game here, 5-7 in their opening 6 weeks. This is a team that was inconsistent at best during the regular week's play. In spring, we're not seeing some growth. Let's look at H2k. They went 0-2 last week. They're now 2-0 this week. Not the cleanest of wins, but confidence-building wins. That's what Kasing said yesterday on the analyst desk, how they found some confidence back. We'll see if we can keep that one up. And we're actually going to head onto the stage where we'll find out from Kasing's partner, Hyonin, what he thought of the week.
Thank you, Quickshot. I'm joined here by Hyonin, the AD carry from H2k after his win. I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on the current meta, though. With a lot of poke now coming through, has that influenced your bottom lane picks as AD carry?
I think Cork is pretty good, but if you can get Thresh, especially for me, I like to play Jinx with it, but we got caught a lot of times in the lane, and in my team fight in this game was really bad as well. Like, I was not really super focused about the Orianna, and one time bot lane, I didn't see his ulti in the brush, so I just ended up getting one-shotted by the Orianna, which was just really, really bad because they bought him like 2-3 minutes in the game. And then in the team fights mid, I flash for Orianna before she ults, which is really, really bad. I don't know what I was doing in team fights. Yeah, really bad game for me.
Oh, it's interesting you talk about the Jinx because, I mean, you did very well at the end of that game. You seem to be one of the only AD carries who's still sticking to that Jinx pick. Why is that?
I think Jinx is still pretty good. If is Kalista and Sivir is banned, people usually go just Corki. And then if Jinx is open as well, then I think Jinx is stronger than Corki later on in the game. That's the main reason right now. But otherwise, I don't really like Vayne too much into Corki as well. Because if they have like this game, Rek'Sai and Gnar, who both will go for mail, you won't kill them super quick either way with the Vayne. And they have a lot of poke then, and you have to go all in, and I don't know. I just like the Jinx pick more, at the moment at least.
Yeah, well, it looked very impressive in that game, at least, Hyonin. I do want to take a step back and look at your kind of predictions for playoffs, because you guys are now 9-3 after that win. You're looking very strong to go into playoffs. What are your hopes and dreams to go into playoffs? What are you looking for?
Yeah, it's obviously like the hopes is to win, but I don't honestly didn't think about it like last split yet. We try to just take every game after every game as usual and see how it goes.
Okay, just keeping it close to the chest. Thank you very much for the interview, Hyonin, and congratulations once again on the win. We're going to send it over to the analyst desk to break down the game and close out the day.
Thank you so much, Pulse. Nice to hear from Hyonin. He had a lot to say this time around, though felt a little bit tricky, especially with that Orianna. The Fischio, if you have to play 10 solo queue games now, and you have to play Orianna, tier Orianna or teleport Orianna, you get to pick.
Teleport.
Teleport still? Oh, after that Giants game? Okay. Well.
I just think in this current meta where so many champions are so strong in the mid game and with so many games are decided from how fast you can snowball there, if you can get that advantage by taking down some turrets as well. The tier Orianna, yes, you can sit and wave clear for days, but that's about it. I mean, I really feel like the scaling is way too slow. I'm not sure what your opinion is. I mean, you're CLG EU members, so maybe that's the play.
Well, to be fair, after seeing the Fischio play, I think the correct option is whoever's in his team dodge. It doesn't matter if he plays that Orianna tier or TP, he's still going to lose the game. But yeah, overall, it's too slow, as you said, and I think that was the one opening in the early game for H2k. The pressure that Ryu was exerting on that lane, it doesn't matter about gold or CS, and even if you just have the opportunity to like whittle the tower down or make the first move, and H2k completely took control of that game. One decent pick-off in the top left corner of the map from Unicorns, but that was all they brought to the table. And then later in the game, yeah, some tricky shockwaves, and Hyonin, he was a little critical of himself there. I like that. But his early game Jinx was still phenomenal. And for me, he's the only AD carry in Europe that makes a Jinx work well.
Yeah, and we still also just see H2k. Despite, okay, there was some maybe tricky team fights where Yana got caught out and so on. When it comes to pushing that lead they have, they know what to do. The way they set up the vision around Barons and so on, the way they push down these towers is very, very effective. And they are still, even though they lost 2 games last week, even though there's been maybe a few mistakes here and there, they are still a fantastic team to watch.
Yeah, definitely are. So on the side of the Unicorns of Love, the Braum again as the counter for the Jace. But in a game like this, you're almost going to have 100% accuracy of dodging those for your team. So in the long run, I don't think it, well, just in general for the Unicorns of Love, it was too tall of a mountain to climb.
Yeah, at the same time, Braum, obviously, the surprise factor is gone. H2k obviously watched that game yesterday, so they knew it was coming. But they played too slow. I think their composition could have maybe worked if Power Evil exerted a little more pressure, but yesterday we were saying, you know, are the Unicorns back? And the answer is obviously no. Again, that same thing, you know, they play so proactive one game and now they play so passive so far back. They let themselves get manhandled by H2k almost, and it puts you in an awkward position.
Yeah.
It seems like just a few key plays really determines how Unicorns play the game. If they manage to pull off the first few ganks they have and so on, they get super hypey and then they start really rolling and do well. But then in this game as well, it's like Hylissang and Power Evil with the tier together, try and 2v2 Lulex and Ryu.
Yep.
Obviously get destroyed, lose the mid tower, almost lost the next tower as well. And that's where everything just kind of falls flat then for Unicorns.
Yeah, for the Unicorns of Love, I think we are also back to, we don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to make an amazing playoff run again if they get there. We will see. We're going to pull up the standings because there's only 3 weeks left until the summer playoffs. And as the Fnatic, still undefeated, we're gonna say it. Well, maybe it stops next week. We don't know. Then they're up against Origin. Origin, H2k, they're in the top 3. And we talked a lot about maybe the gap widening. Then OG today putting up a fantastic performance and H2k bouncing back as well. So what are your thoughts after these 2 days?
I mean, it was good to see that Origin was embracing the metagame right now with Poke, and we saw Expected jokingly say how boring he found to sit wave clear and Poke and still do the most damage in the game. But they've embraced it. H2k showed us last week already that they embraced the meta. So these top tier teams seem to be in sync. There's a bit of a gap widening near the bottom of the table as we see Trevor trying to distract me. We'll get to you later, Trevor. You can stop dancing right now. Bottom table of the team. The bottom tier teams kind of further apart away. And then at the top, Fnatic is obviously miles ahead. But then 2 and 3 are still very locked in right now. So it's those bottom 3 spots in playoffs is what we're playing for. 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, and then just middle of the table here, Gambit looking pretty good this week. Giants as well coming in. Had a great game versus Fnatic. They managed to win the game as well here. So it's very fun to follow these 2 teams in the middle and who can really pull out. Because now Rocket got the hopes up and then they lost the game.
It's not gone.
It's not gone.
No.
Top 6 is what they're aiming for.
Well, we'll see what happens. For now, though, we're going to head over to Quick Shot and Stress for a look at this week's Power Players.
Thank you very much, Shocks and Analyst Desk. It is my favorite time of the day to find out who's making a statement in the Fantasy League. And I hope you guys have H2k's Ryu on your roster, because he racked up 13 kills and a whole ton of points.
Whew, that is a lot of points. Right at the end of the day, he snags himself that MVP. I think the performance we just saw speaks for itself for Ryu. Great performance on Jace this week.
Definitely the case. Coming into it, we actually thought it was going to be Pepinero, but as we said, it was Ryu that snuck it. So points are fine and all, but in the big leagues, it's play that matters. And we've chosen 5 OP pros that we wanted to highlight as this week's. Let's kick it off with the man who almost won Fantasy. It is Pepinero. He dealt 51% of his team's damage over the 2 games as Ezreal, and that Runeglaive worked out.
Yeah, worked out really well for the Giants. And they were the only team to run it this week. That was one of the biggest surprises for us, expecting after all of the buzz on social media and solo queue, Pepinero the only one gutsy enough, perhaps you would say. Long time scaling on the game and on that Ezreal.
Whopper, that hurts. Next up, the man who did just pick up a win playing a lot of Jinx, it's Hyanin. 13, 5, and 12, playing Jinx, and strong words from Crepo saying he feels he's probably the only AD carry that's making Jinx work with the help of the team.
Well, it's basically the truth, pretty much. When you look at H2k's play, the ability for them to shred through the Baron, shred through turrets in the game that we just saw. Absolutely insane performance by Hyanin, and whoop, here we go, gets it all the way across the map. Great snipes there from Hyanin.
Definitely the case. Somebody else who was also laying up some snipes was Betsy, 2-0 as Jace, stepping up on ranged poke champions. We not really see him do particularly into his style. 89% kill participation.
And this is the 2nd week running we've had Betsy up on this screen for the OP5. So a really good setup here for Betsy. Looks to be improving week on week. as the Gambit lineup seem to, be improving themselves. We had Forgiven talking, they'll get better as a unit, they'll fall as a unit, and they certainly seem to be going from strength to strength.
Of all the teams in the bottom 7, it's Gambit you feel the ones performing, and this is another man as to why. According to Hooney, the number 2 top laner in Europe, an average CS difference at 10 of plus 13 this week. Cabochard is truly one of the top lane carries.
Truly, and one of the, I would say, best split-pushing top laners as well. Hooney had a lot of praise for Cabochard, and there's a lot to be said about that CS difference. He'll take it whether it's in a 1v1 in lane, whether he's split-pushing, or in some tricky situations as 1v2
Certainly the case. He gets the help of Diamond procs in certain situations, helps him get rolling when he plays Fizz, but well played. Now, the next man who did go 1-1 this week, he had an unbreakable shield most of the time, was of course Hylissang. He played Braum, broke him out to try and counter the Jace poke. 689 damage taken per minute. That is the highest of all supports. That's a pretty beefy dude.
I wish we had a counter for just how many shock blasts he intercepted, because I guess with Independence Day tomorrow, he had to, partake in the great American tradition of baseball, standing out over in the field, just catching X-Peke his attempts at home runs.
Yeah, gonna have to call in Will Smith and see if we can stop the alien invasion. Now, across the entire week, there is one player that stood out even more than the 5 we've just listed, dealing the most damage per minute of all 80 carries. It is, of course, Fnatic's Reckless. He is our Week 6 MVP, and is there a better Kalista?
Right now in Europe, I would say no. Honestly, I have to say that Fnatic yesterday, their win was so much to do with Reckless digging deep, and just, I honestly think it's maybe the first time this split we've seen Reckless playing to how much hype Reckless had coming into this. Really impressive performance when you look at it. 15, 4, and 12, 6.75 KDA in week 6. Absolutely great performance from Reckless.
When he needs to carry, he can. And that's something that Fnatic needed. Anyways, Week 6 MVP, that's it wrapped up. We're going to head back over to our analysts, as well as Shocks to wrap up the day.
Hey, I can do a little bit of analyzing sometimes. For instance, best Kalista, but it's banned all the time, so maybe there's some there hiding in the bushes that might be better. But Reckless completely deserved, and a lot of times people, when he was coming back in Fnatic, said, how aggressive will he be in some games? Yesterday, he just carried it.
To be fair, if your coach gets his hands on Kalista 2 times in a row, he deserves the MVP for the week, in my opinion.
That's true.
It's the thing when you play against Fnatic, though. I mean, yeah, Kalista is one ban you need to consider. There's like 10, 12 other picks as well.
For Hooney?
For Hooney alone. So, I mean, yeah, you might have to ban away the Kalista, but then we just talk about how Hooney gets MVP on Echo or something, and it's the same deal.
Yeah, definitely also nice hearing from there after that win. Well, while the European LCS is going on cooldown for now, we'll be back next Thursday at 6 p.m. Central European Time, 9 a.m. Pacific, as the Copenhagen Wolves line up against the Unicorns of Love. We there have also Rocket versus Elements and Origin versus Giants. And of course, on Friday, we'll have our game of the week between Fnatic and Origin in a preview of what could be our marquee matchup, and maybe in playoffs as well. We have Fnatic H2k on Thursday as well to warm us up for all of that. So things are really, well, getting into a prime position for the biggest matchups here.
I think next week we'll completely confirm whether Fnatic is going 18-0 this split or not.
Yeah.
And also if Origin and H2k learned anything from the last time they played, because a lot of action in the early game, but it felt like Fnatic were in control both games. We're going to have to see what they can do now. Origin looked good today. I mean,
looked better.
H2k got a 2-0 as well, but there's no room for mistakes when you face Fnatic.
Yeah, Pekka also said, it's in the numbers. If they haven't lost until then, statistically, they have to lose.
Yeah, I actually checked with our stats guy, Spellsy, and Pekka was wrong. I'm sorry, all Origin fans out there, but that doesn't mean it's true.
Maybe it will work out that way. We will see. Well, until then, you'll have to get your LCS fix over in North America as the NALCS picks up with a clash between Team Impulse and Enemy Esports. The full TDK roster will face Team Solo Mid, and Cloud9 will take a game off Team Liquid. Super interesting matchup anyway, but now especially with the change coming in.
Such a big change. Medius, of course, not playing. Highs coming in out of retirement. Former mid laner. He's a former jungler, but I think we have to go like 2 or 3 years back for that. And I really want to see what they can do. If the shot calling is such a big deal for them that it can be enough, but Liquid is looking pretty strong as well.
I actually remember playing against High, now that you mentioned it, like literally 4 years or 3 years ago where he played at an MLG, and he was such a confident player. He had such a big mouth when it came to jungling, so we banned him out. We banned 3 of his champions, and that's all he could play at the time. Oh, hopefully he has expanded his champion pool in the jungle since then.
We'll see if that shot calling comes to help out Cloud9. And it all starts on Saturday at 9 p.m. Central European Time, and that is noon Pacific. That does it for us here in Berlin, for myself and the entire European LCS team. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, and remember, wards save lives.
Both these teams definitely hunting as many wins as possible to try and make contention for playoffs. Warlib, everyone is blinking. True shot, Rush barely takes down Freddy and Fox. Oh, so close. Peppy, he's going down, but the Gragas is on it. Can he finish it up? Frederick with the taunt. Frederick, he got it. 43 minutes in, Giants Gaming are victorious. This is all Gambit right now, Steve. Nuke Duck, Emperor's Divide, pushes them all back, but still, Betsy coming up with more.
Guys, take it. I'm going, but no, he's dead, he's fine. Guys, Nautilus here, Nautilus. Look at Nautilus. I'm going from behind them. Shield is dead!
Gambit Gaming will even the head-to-head in summer. It's gonna be rain over. Copenhagen Wolves to their best efforts to save the day, but it doesn't matter in the end. Fnatic take down the Copenhagen Wolves and qualify for playoffs.
Nordic?
Nordic.
What is Nordic?
We have penguins and polar bears.
Really?
No, we don't.
Oh.
Huni would love to ride them, you know. Like he would have a white polar bear.
What?
Yeah, like Sejuani.
What?
Take a look at Nif in the middle of the team. He's going to be the next to fall. Death Sentence connects once more from Miffy. I can aimbot this game. Origin with a dominant victory over Elements. Flame Spitters coming out. Oduwamne is going to get hopped on. Whoa! Look at it. Cameraman, let him go, man. Let him go. Onto Power of Evil. He's in trouble. Glacial Fisher comes out to split up the teams. It's Hillesang's Braum, the manliest of men, that's down. H2k solidly holds second place.